All right. Well, John, nice to see you.
Nice seeing you too, Ryan.
So let's just give people a quick introduction into who you are and what your role is.
So my name is John McGiffin, CEO for Natural Velocity here
Excellent.
in Docklands.
So natural velocity here in Docklands. Give me the rundown. What is natural velocity?
So Natural Velocity, we are an ecosystem company. We believe that ecosystems can solve complex problems, and so there is a big problem to be solved. And so we're essentially taking an ecosystem approach to solving the AI supply chain problem.
Excellent. Okay. So AI supply chain problem. Just give me a bit of a rundown. What does that mean?
So essentially, well, let's talk about Australia for a second. Australia, in a recent Melbourne Uni KPMG report, came ninth last globally. So this is
Excellent.
terrible. This is really bad. We tend to be quite a risk adverse country. And even if you talk about things like complex productivity, we're 105th in the world, which is really bad once again. But in fact, Australia's got amazing people, it's got amazing technology. So, how do we amplify that? So, uh, globally, we're really good at building AI. There's lots of companies out there building AI, but the problem is that how do you distribute that software or the AI to the right customer who then gets the right outcome in terms of governance, security, cyber, privacy? That's where things fall over. So we call that the supply chain problem.
Okay. Yep. That makes a lot of sense. So when you think about what the problem is and how you guys are planning to go about solving it, what does that look like? Give me an explanation to like what is it that you guys are delivering that's going to help with that problem?
So ecosystems are made up of various components. So in our case, is five. And so each of these components need to work together to solve the AI supply chain problem. And so we have the AI Innovation Center, which we'll dive into, I guess, a bit more detail shortly. This is all about nurturing startups and helping them build AI and be successful. So we call ourselves a launchpad rather than a co-working space because we have computer rooms on site. We're here to nurture and support startups to be successful. And so that's part of the Innovation Center. Then we can amplify their voice through the AI podcast studio, which we're in now. Then we also have the AI delivery network. So this is how we commercialize startups because AI is going to become quite commoditized. Lots of businesses out there building AI agents. Well, that's all well and good, but the problem is going to become very commoditized and so very difficult for them to stand out and above the others. So this is where a marketplace comes in. So this is part of our AI delivery network. How do we amplify their voice? How do we provide a commercialization channel for them that they wouldn't typically get in a co-working space, as an example?
Excellent. Okay. So you really differentiated the difference between Launchpad and co-working space.
Correct.
So can we go further into within that Launchpad space? Like really talk us through what is the difference? Like how is someone going to benefit from a Launchpad?
Well, often, startups they're all looking for their first customer. So first thing we have here in Docklands is this is an innovation precinct. We actually run all the computing infrastructure across the site. So they can come in here and maybe they've got some really cool tech that would go well in the ice skating rink. We can facilitate that because we look after the site. Or perhaps they're building robots. So we can facilitate robots actually driving around the precinct here, which is really good. It's their first reference customer that they're all looking for. Next thing they're looking for as well is that really assistance to scale. And that's where the AI delivery network comes in, which I mentioned before. They're also looking for reaching customers. And this is where we have the AI delivery network, the marketplace once again, but we actually have what we call the AI Experience Center. So we get large groups of people coming through here for events or for training. And so we can drop a startup that's in here into our Experience Center. And this way, people coming through for events, they go, wow, this is amazing. I really didn't know this particular startup was here in Docklands. And so we can make introductions for them as well. So, and lastly, I guess, it's not all about work. You want to have fun. So while you're here, we've got lots of things to do. There's Dreamscape here, there's Prison Islands, there's even a brewery on site, there's childcare, there's a school on site. There's just so much infrastructure here to support startups as well.
Yeah, and I think the general feel with a co-working space is basically it's a desk and
Yeah,
a headset
exactly.
essentially.
Exactly.
So there's definitely multiple layers where people come
Yep,
in and be able to tap into all of the different plugs that you guys have here.
exactly.
Okay, so you mentioned commercializing and customer access. So, what are some specific things that you guys do to help commercialize, whether it's startups or people doing the events here, etc.? How do you tap into this network?
So we've done a lot of research. We talk to corporates, we talk to SMBs, so lots of businesses, trying to understand what's the pain point, what's causing you pain in terms of adopting AI. And time again, the word trust comes up. Businesses are just inundated by lots of different companies saying, I've built this amazing thing, you should check it out. So what we're doing is that marketplace or the delivery network I mentioned before is actually curated. So what I mean by that is we want to know from all vendors that come in here, have you got ISO 27001? Have you got a privacy policy in place? We're a very values-driven company. So what are you doing about modern slavery and sustainability? Because corporates or SMB as well are really wanting to understand, what do you stand for? It's not just about tech anymore. So this way we can help startups achieve those certifications and then amplify them once they've got it.
Excellent. So you guys do podcasts, events, there's launches, there's exposure opportunities here.
Yes.
So on site in your building and then obviously in the greater, what are some opportunities for people doing events here? What could that look like?
So for events, obviously one of the other dimensions startups are looking for is I want to amplify my product, I want to amplify my brand. And so obviously we've got a podcast studio here, but you can then also use this our space here, the AI Learning Center, to actually do product launches. Or amazingly enough, and I don't know of any co-working spaces anywhere in the world that have this, we actually have Hoyt's Picture Theatres on site. So if you want to do a product launch there and you want to go bigger, we have Imaginator on site where we actually have had 450 people in for an event. And then if you want to go super big, we'd have the whole ground floor with stands set up, and so you can get 7,000 people in here. So there's just a lot of room here for us to amplify your product once you're in the ecosystem.
Because often people are doing all of those things, right? They're going to one location and doing a
Exactly.
podcast. They're going one location for their meetings, going one location for boardroom. Then they want to do a product launch. They've got to
Yep.
go through that whole thing. So for you to already be tapped into the whole experience here, certainly makes things a lot more streamlined, which obviously gives people, entrepreneurs, time back, which is the one thing that everyone's struggling with.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly right. So this is where the ecosystem really comes in. The ecosystem is all these parts that work together synergistically. We're not just here to do one particular thing. It's an ecosystem play, and that's what you tap into. So one of the things about network effects, which is what ecosystems have, so as each person comes into the ecosystem, there's exponential value for everyone else in the ecosystem or for everyone in there. And the same thing happens for startups. When they come in here, they'll find there's just so many opportunities to amplify their voice, amplify their tech, get the best tech stack in place to make sure they're successful.
Excellent. So scalability and scale for growth, right? So obviously for you, you've mentioned to me previously, it's not about being there, just on day one. How do you help support scaling and growth within the ecosystem?
So when a customer or a startup, for that matter, gets into our AI delivery network, what we're trying to do is get to the point where, sure, they're available on our delivery network, but we actually want to federate them to other global marketplaces. So this gives them really that global reach. And then with the team that we have in place at Natural Velocity, we actually are well connected into government, into large corporates. And so it's that ability to help you and facilitate you reaching out to potential customers globally, not just here in Australia either.
And also, what about just physical space? So if someone starts with a 1 or 2 man team and then they grow to 5, 10, 15, like, is that something you can facilitate here?
Yeah, great question. So the District Docklands site, we can get around about 1,000 people in here pretty quickly without too much trouble. And then we've got the ability to grow up to 3,000 people over time as well with a little bit more fit out. But there's lots of room here for us to fill out and support startups.
Yeah, and I recall back to even talking about that sustainability piece, when you guys have shown me around,
Mm,
if somebody needed the additional space, it's not like you were going to knock down walls and that ends up in landfill. Like you can
exactly.
very easily expand
Yes.
the space that a business is using.
Yes. So we have something called a platinum studio. What the platinum studio is, it's made up out of lighting truss. And so the cool thing, for those of you who remember Meccano sets, it's you basically keep clipping on parts. Same thing happens with your new office in the space. If you outgrow your team size, we can just tack on another 6 desks, another 24 desks, or even if you want to tack on your own meeting room as well. It's very flexible and very unique.
Yeah, so I think you've covered both the physical and then the business growth.
Mm,
You've got it all covered in here.
exactly.
So if you were to think about the reasons why somebody in the AI space would come here, how would you summarize those reasons? Like, give us the elevator pitch. What is somebody going to benefit from by being part of this ecosystem?
I think it's really, it's almost like I've covered a lot of areas. It's really all of the above. There's a lot of room here. There's a lot of support. So just on Friday, we had a meeting with a startup that's in our innovation center here, and we took them through what we're seeing as some market trends around hotspots where we're saying, hey, customers are looking for problems to solve in this area. So even if you know you want to build something, but you're not quite sure what, even those sorts of things we can facilitate. And we had a call with one of our counterparts in Singapore. So he was actually giving us input for what he's seeing in the Singapore market. It is truly a global feel when you come in here to really give you that reach. So it's really amplifying your business. We know how painful doing startups is. It's particularly painful. Actually, Elon Musk described it as like eating glass and staring into the abyss. And I'd agree with that. It's very difficult. So if we can do something here to help startups be successful and not go through the pain of eating glass, then that's a good day for us.
Excellent. Thanks, John. So you mentioned to me before about your 7 pillars.
Yes.
Do you want to talk us through those?
So these are 7 pillars for podcasts. I'm probably not going to remember them all off the top of my head. Anyway, so we've got 7 pillars for what we're going to be podcasting about. So the first one is ecosystems.
Yep.
We're very big believers in ecosystems. And the next one, which is quite related to that, is network effects. So network effects are really powerful. Network companies leveraging network effects like Facebook, like Apple, are the most profitable companies in the world. And so we're using network effects to good effect. So we'll be talking about how you do that, not only in the podcast, but we actually got training programs on that as well. Then we've also got another pillars around supporting startups, another one around accelerating AI, big focus on training. So Australia's going to need 129,000 additional AI people by 2030. So where are they going to come from? So another one on training and the new ways in which AI is being used to train even kids. So we're running kid training programs as well. Then we've also got sustainability, how to put back these sorts of things, really important topics in light of the fact that AI is just consuming so much power now. And there's a couple other surprise ones in there as well.
So training is an interesting one.
Mm.
So just talk us through what does the training, I guess, structure look like in here?
So we are introducing what we call the AI entrepreneur pathway. So we understand that with the rapid arrival of AI, and we're going to need a lot more AI people by 2030. But interestingly enough, in the US, there's been a 13% reduction in graduates getting jobs because what's happening now is they're not being prepared quite well enough through universities. And so businesses going, well, I'm just going to use AI now to replace the student. This is really concerning for us, super concerning. So this is why we're trying to embed and create training programs. And because we're a very nimble organization, we can bring the latest technologies to kids and students pretty much straight away. So we've not only got to teach them about tech, but we've also got to teach them about meta skills, how to think, critical thinking, and a really important one is how to make decisions. So that's a really big part. And so it's a complete journey. So we're starting off with kids when they're younger, into students, meta skills, those sorts of things, then even into corporate training. We're also getting into training of investors because investors are getting confused. Should I be investing in the startup? So training courses for them as well. And then the last area is elderly. So we actually had a team of elderly people through recently for some cyber training because unfortunately a lot of them are being scammed at the moment, and particularly with AI. So we've got to defend against the bad parts of AI as well.
Yeah, so obviously very clear through this discussion. This is much, much more than just a co-working space.
Exactly.
And I think you've explained that really well as to how this is a launch pad as opposed to just a...
That's right. Yes.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Ryan.
Very educational.
Thank you.